Hello everyone, welcome back to Karen's Corner Fireside Chat. I'm Karen Cotelis-Ria with Real Estate One, and today our guests are the Rochester Pollinators, and we have Stephanie Smith and Marilyn Trent, so welcome you two.
Thank you.
So glad to have you here. So Marilyn, tell me a little bit about how you got started and what you do with the Rochester Pollinators.
Well, thank you so much for having us. We're very excited to be here. We love talking about the Rochester Pollinators. I'm Marilyn Trent. I own a company called Trent Creative. It's in its 33rd year. We're a graphic design and brand development company that does a lot of creative work with a small little boutique agency in Rochester and Detroit. And I founded the Rochester Pollinators in 2019.
And I'm Stephanie Smith. I've been a member of the Rochester Pollinators since 2019. As a kid, I loved bugs. I was the kid outside flipping over any rock that I could find, searching any plant that I could find, rescuing spiders in my house. That was me. And I have 3 kiddos who follow in my footsteps and do the same thing. So I was super excited to find Marilyn and be able to spread the message of
How did you find Marilyn?
So she was at a green festival in downtown Rochester, and I walked by her booth, and actually my husband had walked by first and said, I found your new best friend. She is at this booth and you really need to hurry and go talk to her. And so I did, and I did find my new best friend.
Oh, that's around the corner.
And my kids actually joke when I go and talk to Marilyn, they're like, okay, we'll see you tomorrow, Mom. Because we just have so much in common.
That's great. Well, just chatting with you too before we got started, I can tell you're very close. So
yes,
that's wonderful. So what got you started with the Rochester and creating Rochester Pollinators? How did you begin this journey?
Well, I got a brochure in the mail from the Environmental Defense Fund that said the monarch butterfly was in decline by 90%, depending on the year, and this was in 2019. I've been on the Downtown Development Authority. It's a commission of the city of Rochester. I've been on there for 15 years. I went to them and I said, hey, what about if you got our landscapists to put some milkweed instead of these other plants, because I learned that the monarch butterfly needs a milkweed to survive, and that's all you had to do, plant milkweed. And I thought, well, I need to tell everybody.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I'll get other people to plant it. We already paid this guy, he's wonderful, Bart Jones, he's wonderful. And they agreed to do it, so they put it in a few places on Main Street. So then I started working with the city of Rochester through the City Beautiful Commission, and we created this committee, Rochester Pollinators, through the city of Rochester. And I told the city when I presented, my company would make it completely sustainable, it would fund it, it wouldn't cost the city anything.
Yeah, and your company being Trent Creative.
Trent Creative, yes, and so we did, that's why it's branded the way it is, that's why all the graphics
Your
are with it.
website is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
So you started this in 2019, and you've come a long way. I understand you do a lot of presentations to different garden groups and such.
We average about 30 presentations and events each year.
Yeah.
We will present to schoolrooms and at the Rochester Hills Public Library. We do a lot of garden clubs presentations. We presented at Dutton Farm. We will tell anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
We do workshops too to teach people how to grow native plants too.
So if I'm a person who maybe just bought a home, and I can say this because I work with people like that every day, and I want to start a garden and I don't really know where to begin, what should I do? Where should I start? I mean, it sounds like I should maybe get on your website and take a look at a few things, but what do you recommend?
What you do is you need to audit your plants and shrubs and trees, like what do you have and what's in your yard, and get a little education as best as you can and identify invasive species. And once you've done that, we call invasive species the new weeds, and you might be surprised what they are, and we ask you to reduce or eradicate these.
What would be an example of an invasive species?
So here are some pictures of some of the invasive species, and unfortunately, some of these are actually still sold and planted every day.
Yeah.
So knowing this list and removing them or choosing not to plant them is really key. One is Japanese barberry. That's a common plant that you'll see in landscapes. So some other plants that are invasive is Bradford pear tree. It was actually planted because it was supposed to be sterile, so it was never supposed to produce seed, but it actually does produce seed, and it also is crowding out our native plants. Butterfly bush, it's a beautiful bush, but unfortunately it would be equivalent to candy for butterflies and our pollinators, so it really doesn't have the nutrients that our native plants have. So it's kind of, that's why they love it so much. It's like the candy of
Okay, so I love the look of a butterfly bush.
Yes.
And so if I want something like that, do you have like alternatives to what people can plant? So if they want that look, they can do this instead.
Yes, so
Okay.
we actually have a series called Who Wore It Best. And so with butterfly bush, you can plant Joe Pye, and that actually supports over 41 different species of pollinators.
Nice.
The Joe Pye has all the rest of the nutrients, and also the milkweed plant has the leaves that the monarch butterfly can lay its eggs on, and that is the only leaf that helps this butterfly reproduce. So
Okay.
what I found out, and all those others who want to spread the word, you could see these insects or butterflies or bees on these certain plants, and they could be invasive, they could be non-native, but they don't have the leaves that called host plants that these butterflies
Okay.
reproduce. What we say is if there's leaves are being eaten, that's what nature intended.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Okay.
That the leaves are being eaten, because that means that, caterpillars and our other insects are using the leaves and
Yeah.
growing. So with milkweed, with monarchs, you can kind of compare to humans. So human babies don't start out by eating pizza. So same with caterpillars. They have one specific food, and that's the leaves of milkweed.
Okay.
And so they will start out by eating the most tender leaves, and then they'll start by eating, the ones that aren't as tender. So just like human children.
They grow into it.
Yes. Yep. But it's
Okay.
the only thing. It's the only food that they can eat.
Yeah.
We do have a little garden guide. These are home garden friendly. They are not scary. They will not break into your house and drink all your wine. Even though they are called wildflowers, you can see they're very beautiful.
Yes, they're very
Yes.
beautiful.
And then these are by heights and bloom time, so they will not bloom all at once. They
Yeah.
bloom. They start in May and bloom through October because the insects need the nutrients all season, for the 3 seasons. You need to purchase plants from a reputable place. And that means that we have the Latin names. For instance, we have the purple coneflower is called Echinacea purpurea. We don't want you buying cultivars because they are invaders.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want those.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
So we got
What ends up happening with our cultivars is that they're actually chosen because of specific characteristics. So it could be maybe instead of purple, the flower is like pink instead. Or the leaves are a different color or a different shape. So what ends up happening is we pick those, and then they're just genetic clones, basically, of that same plant. But we're not 100% sure of what that actually does for the pollinator. So that difference could mean that that plant's unusable for our pollinators.
Okay, that makes sense.
And we also have resources where to buy the authentic ones. They have some nurseries that carry them. Wild Type Nursery in Mason is where we source ours. It's a wonderful grower. He's been doing it since the mid-90s. He's been sourcing all these native plants around Michigan as well to get the authentic genotype. So it's kind of exciting to know what was here before.
Yeah. This
and
is great. This is so
yeah.
helpful too.
And so,
then-
I was going to say something else that's helpful if you are buying a house in the springtime is don't rush to do your spring cleanup, because a lot of our butterflies and moths actually overwinter in different stages of their life cycle. So they could be an egg, they could be the caterpillar, they could be a chrysalis. or a cocoon. So if you hurry and clean up your garden beds and get rid of fallen branches or fallen leaves, you actually could be getting rid of those moths and caterpillars so that they never become our beautiful moths and butterflies.
But we are not purists. We would like to say that we have a list. So nectar-rich ornamental annuals, we have a list of those in our garden guide, because we are asking people to start integrating them in, try them out for a spin. And what happens is people start liking them. They come back every year because they're very affordable if you're young or you don't want to spend a lot of money. And we just say try them out. We're not asking you to grow a prairie. That is not what we're asking you to do at this time.
Sounds like a lot of fun, I mean, it's you can do as little of it or as much of it as you want.
Yeah.
And it'll be fun for me this year in my garden.
We have a lot of information like that, and the thing is, it is fun. It is life-giving. You'll start looking at other people's yards and go, it's not buzzing, it's not full of life. And this one lady was in her 70s, and she said, I hadn't seen a butterfly in years, and it just brought joy back to my life to see what I had seen for years. So it's joyful. And these native insects, native bees, they don't sting. They're mostly solitary. Just don't pick them up,
Right.
Don't hurt them, and they
gonna
won't
be
hurt
fine.
you.
Yeah. And so I know you also have an Etsy. I see lots of fun merch here. We got stickers and cards and pins.
And we have all different pins and ladybugs. These were all custom drawn by a very talented designer I had on staff at the time, and she created all this.
And you have seeds.
We have seeds. You can buy all this at Busy Buzz because we want to support our local shops downtown. We also have this on our Etsy store. We have a free seed library at Dinosaur Hill for those who don't want to purchase the seeds.
Save the pollinators.
This is our biggest seller.
I love it. Oh, and you have different colors.
Yeah.
Are these the 3 colors or
We have more on our, we have more colors on our, we have a
Okay.
pink one as well, and then we
navy blue.
Oh, this one's really pretty. I love
Yeah.
this color too. Yeah, that's really a soft color.
And then
Love it.
we also have Rochester Pollinators shirts, and for
I
those who
love it, yeah.
Rochester want to be a Rochester Pollinator, you could join us. We have over 165 volunteers. You can sign up to volunteer. Email us at pollinators@trentcreative.com. We love to have our volunteers. We need them. They help us with the native plant sales and presentations and events and pulling invasive species in the park.
And it's something that you can do with your family too. So it's volunteers of all ages can participate, and we have something for everybody.
Well, these are some great
I think
ideas. Thank you so much for being here. This is a lot of information. I know the viewers can go on your website
That's right.
and check out things and go on the Etsy store as well and go do some shopping.
Also, we'll have native plant sales. I think I said May 11th, 18th, and 25th at the downtown farmers market.
Oh,
And there's
great.
all
Yeah.
sorts of
Love the
all
farmers
sorts of
market.
great things there to buy besides our flowers. We also do it, and we also sell them in the fall, because in fall you can plant these plants and then they grow back better in the spring.
Yeah.
So that's another thing
Yeah.
that we talk about as well. So any information you need, please contact us.
Yeah, we're always happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so
Yes,
much,
Rachel.
Stephanie and Marilyn.
Thank you.
Rochester Pollinators, thank you so much for joining us today. And I am Karen Cotelas-Ria. Don't make a move without me.